A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. So this is the word of God that our message basically come from here. When we are approaching December 25, that is Christmas season, we usually, especially those who are from Northeast, we usually hear in a year at least more than one message whenever we are about to reach 25 December. And even here, we have just heard two sermons, yesterday and day before yesterday, related to Christmas. So this evening, I would like to just take all of you back to a very basic one. Like, we know Christmas is a birth of Jesus Christ, as that is the main thing that we keep in mind when we think about Christmas. So that is when Christ is believed to be born. However, we are not very sure exactly whether it is not given exactly that Jesus Christ was born on 25th December. But one thing that we can know for sure is that Jesus Christ came here on this earth. He was born as human. He took the flesh. So at least that much we can be for sure. We can know for sure. So from there, what we can see is that Jesus Christ Himself being God, and then He took the human flesh, experiencing the human nature like you and like me. And the very purpose why He took that human flesh, the very purpose is that He could die for you and for me. So from there, the foundational gospel, the foundational, or I should say the most important, the basic thing that we can learn is His love for you and for me. So that is why I read this passage where Jesus Christ Himself has set the best example for all of us. And here, in John chapter 13, verse 34 and 35, if we read here, we can clearly see that He wants us to love one another, as He Himself has set an example by coming down here on earth and dying on the cross. He did not simply tell His disciples that you love one another, but He Himself has said and He has gone through. And He has given us the best example that for us to follow. So that is the only main thing that I would like to focus. So this evening, there are just few things that we can and we should practice as a disciple of Christ, as a child of God. There are a few things that I would like to share and leave with all of you. These are not new things that I'm going to share, but this will be a reminder for all of us. So the first thing that we can show our love, the example that Christ had set by being born as human, by taking the flesh, for you and for me to follow that same love, to practice that love. While being here in this seminary, one of the ways that we can practice, there are different ways. You all may have a different ways to practice the love of God, love for one another. However, this evening, I would like there are just two things that I would like to focus. I'm not talking about outside of this campus, but I would like to stick only here in this campus, that we all can practice and should practice it. So the first one that I would like to share with all of us is that we can show our love for one another by practicing the act of generosity. So what do I mean by that? See, there are among us we came from a background where our families are not very stable financially, and then here we somehow come and landed in this SIBBC to pursue our studies, and many of us are going hard time, I believe, and I myself have been through that position, that place when I was doing my studies. And our life here, especially in financial, I'm talking about financially, our life here may not be it may not go well how we expected. At the same time, some of us here, I believe that will be coming from a little bit good background, whereas our family background, our family members are able to support, or maybe our churches are supporting us. So we can show our love for one another when we see a brother or our fellow friend or our classmate that he's really having a hard time, that even his studies are disturbed because of the financial issues that he's going through. His mind is disturbed. So instead of spending for ourselves, instead of just doing everything for ourselves, like buying a good clothes or spending most of our money in a different purpose, whereas our friend, maybe our roommate, our close friend, is not having a proper clothes to wear. So at that time, when we see that, one of the ways that we could show our love is just to extend a little help. You don't need to do a great big thing, but just a small help. So even when we have food in our cafeteria that we just had today, and our curry, we know that we expected something else, but we got something else. So I believe many of us went there by expecting we'll get chicken, but we did not get it. So, like when our curry is not very good, like little chutney, right? Just a small thing, like other than our curry, when we get, that really helps us. So when somebody is really in need, you don't really need to give a big thing or something like that, but just giving a small thing, not necessarily money, but materially, whatever we can give, that will really help the brother or our friends who are going through that hard time. Let me just share a story, a small story there. Back at my hometown, there was a pastor. Like, he went to a seminary to study, study God's word. He went, it was long back, like 1980 somewhere. So he was from a background where his parents are not able to support him, send him money to continue his studies or things like that. Even for buying soap, he did not have enough. So what he usually do is that he said throughout his seminary studies, what he did, he would usually go around and look for soap. Like when we use soap, we don't use completely everything, but like when it becomes little small, we just throw it away, right? We do not really use everything, but when it becomes little small, we just throw it away. So like that type, what he used to do is he would go around and collect it from different places, from his friends, which they have used and they have thrown it away. So he would usually go and collect those and wash it properly, and then he will stick it together and use that. So that was the situation that he went through, especially in those days, like 1980s, 70s, or even 1990s, let's say. There were more poverties. These days we don't really experience as such, but that was the kind of life that a particular pastor lived, because from his parents he didn't get financial support or anything like that. So the same thing could be applied here. May not be like, we may not really go through exactly like how that pastor went through, but I believe there will be some of us who are finding financially difficult. And then I would say, especially like some of you, if you're coming from a Hindu background, I'm not sure, but most of us may be coming from Christian background, where our families and our forefathers are all Christian. But if you're coming from Hindu background or a different religion, where you are the only one Christian in your family, at that time, like I had a friend in ACA, in my former college. I had a friend. In his family, he is the only one Christian. So he went to, he came there to pursue his MTH. He did not tell his parents. So he came there without really making sure his financial support. He came there, and his father thought that he went for some kind of job. And my friend was not even able to tell his father and his other parents that he's going to study Bible in a Bible college. So since he was from such a background, he was not even able to ask money from his parents, because if he asks, they will definitely know that he went to Bible college, and there will be a big problem in his family members. So what he did was he usually worked for himself and he support in that way. So we used to work together. I was also one of them, like we worked together. So that is how we somehow survived. So my point of sharing all those stories is like here also, some of us, we may not tell it openly that we're going through hard times, but you guys know each other the best, more than your teachers, among your class, among your friend circle. You know each other the best, more than your teachers, I should say. So if somebody is really going through hard times, then we can show our love for one another by extending a little help. So that's the first thing that I would like to present. And the second thing, and with this we will end it. So the second thing is that the act of service for each other, act of service. Act of service, what do I mean by that is, it is basically, especially focusing in our studies here in SIBBC. No, I'm not talking about outside or anything, but sticking only here in our studies. See, some of you are, I believe, some of you are good at studies, some of you are not very good, like average, and some of you are finding really very hard and somehow managing it. So as a classmate, what we can do is that we can help each other. The brother who is really having somehow surviving it, so you can extend your love to that particular brother. If somebody is really going hard times in his studies, he may even decide to go back and leave the college just because he is not able to move along with his friends. So I'm not sure if there is anybody, but I'm sure that there will be some of you. I believe there are among here, many of you are good at something at least. You may not be good at in one area, like you may be good at in language, you may be good at like mission counseling. It's not that we have to be good in all the areas, but in whatever areas that you're good at, you can extend your love to the other brother who is having a hard time in his studies. For us, when I was studying there, what we usually do, there were many of us who were very weak in our studies, and around 4 of them were kicked out because especially there, academically, they're like they're very strict. If we are not reaching what they expect, they usually kick us out. So that was the situation, and 4 of my friends, they were kicked out because of their studies. So for us, the leftover ones, what we usually do is that we usually come together. It was not, we did not complete our courses because we were good at, actually, but it was just because of the help and the love that we saw among our class. So after the class is over, what we usually do there in ACA, especially my classmate, what we usually do is that there are many things that we don't understand what our teachers taught us. So we would usually gather together in the evening, like at night, in one of our rooms. One day in his room, and then another time to other friend's room. That is how we would usually gather together, and the main purpose is to help the weaker ones who are not able to cope up with the studies, to help for them purposefully. We would usually gather together and help each other. So whatever you find hard, you bring that to the discussion, and then we would discuss, because there were other people good at some areas, something, and then I may not be good at the areas that the other friend is good at. So that is how when we come together, we know our problems and the difficulties that we are having in our study. So we share in that way. And then I should say, whoever did that, none of us were kicked out, but we were able to stay back, and then we were able to somehow complete. So it's not that you must do that, you must do in that way, but just giving you an example that in that way, when we do that, we can show our love for the brother, and we can help. So those are the two things that I would like to present and share with all of you. So the main point that I would like to bring out of this for this evening for all of us is that as Christ has given us Himself, His love for us, He was born here on earth so that He could die. It was possible because of His love for you and for me. So as His dear children, for you and for me, and as He Himself has commanded us, as we look in John chapter 14, verse 35 and 34 and 35, that let us practice in every ways that we can, not necessarily the areas that I have shared. That is just an example. There may be other ways that you guys can practice love for one another in different ways, but those are just an example that we can do. So let us, as we are also approaching the new year, you can also make it as a resolution for the next year that you would love more. I'm not saying that we are not loving one another as of now, but you can do it better. So that is the main thing that I would like to present. So let us have love for one another, and let us let other people see Christ's love in all of us. So may God bless all of us.